Dark Magician just had a bunch of new cards announced, including a retrain of the Eye of Timaeus that almost completely fixes the problems from the original card. That being said, here's my deck profile using the new cards, so that way when it comes out, you're ready and know what to play. So thanks to the new Dark Magician support, the deck has become really powerful. So without further ado, let's start with the monsters. For the monsters, I play 2 copies of Dark Magician. Obviously, you know, it is the card, right? It's Dark Magician, so we only play 2 because we don't want to brick on it, drawing it in our starting hand. There are a lot of ways to get this card out, to search it, to summon it, to send it to the grave, so we don't want to see it in our opening hand too much. Next, 1 copy of Dark Magician Girl. There's still a lot of synergy with this card and a lot of cards that can plus off of having or utilizing both. A lot of times it's a free summon too if you have cards like Magician Salvation, so it's just good to play one of. Again, you don't want to see it in your starting hand usually, but it's good to play. Next, I play 2 copies of Illusion of Chaos. This is a card you do want to see in your starting hand, but the reason we're only playing 2 is because this card is more so like a joker in the sense that it replaces itself with another card you need. So you don't want to have more than 1 in your starting hand because then you start to brick. Next, I play 1 copy of Magician's Rod. You don't have a lot of normal summons in the deck, but also a single normal summon doesn't do you a ton of good. So it's good to have 1 of in case you need it, but for the most part, it's become more of an extender than a starter for a combo. Next, I play 3 copies of Magician Souls. This is one of the best starters. It's a free send a Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl from the deck to the grave, plus you're either able to summon this card, the Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl back, or you can draw cards off of it. It's just an insanely versatile card, so I think it's good to play 3 of. Then I play 1 copy of Magic Karibo. It's a nice card that can just get out a Dark Magician if you're in a sticky situation and can potentially help set you up for the next turn or shut your opponent down during the battle phase. Then for kind of the special sauce of the deck, I play 3 copies of Primite Dragon. Because Dark Magician is a normal monster, we use the Primite engine to help advance the normal monster plays, which is also another reason why we're playing less of the traditional effect monster ratios, because now we have the Primite engine that is going to help us get into those more dragon and Dark Magician boss monster plays. I also play the Bestial engine for disruption since we use a lot of dark monsters, and then of course 3 Ash Blossom because, you know, it's like the best hand trap in the game, so why not? That's it for the monsters. Let's move on to the spells. For the spells, I play 3 copies of Soul Servant. This is by far one of the best searchers because it doesn't traditionally search a card, it puts it on top of the deck and then allows you to draw 1 or more cards depending on how many Dark Magicians or Dark Magician Girl monsters you have. So it's a really good card to either draw a ton or set you up for the next turn. Then I play 2 of the new spell, the Gaze of Timaeus. This card is super good, and what it does is, essentially it's a searchable version of the Eye of Timaeus, but with a few differences. For one, it shuffles the Dark Magician back into the deck from either the field or graveyard. So you don't need it to be in your hand or field, you can also just shuffle it back from the graveyard, which is cool. The other thing is that the monster you summon with it is banished during the next turn. But theoretically, you could use that monster for something else like a link material just to kind of utilize it to its fullest effect before it gets banished. Next, I play 1 copy of Dark Magical Circle. This is another one of those cards where like it's good to have, but playing more than 1 risks bricking on multiple in your starting hand. On top of that, its banish effect is only once per turn, so having more than 1 on the field doesn't really serve you much after just that initial reveal 3 and potentially add 1 to your hand. I also play 1 copy of Magician Salvation, which just is a free way to set Eternal Soul from deck and protect your Dark Magician monsters. I also play a Secrets of Dark Magic. It's a more traditional way to get out a fusion or ritual monster that doesn't risk the banish effect from the Gaze of Timaeus. I also play 1 copy of Dark Magic Attack as an Eternal Soul target, and then 1 copy of Pre-Preparation of Rites. This is just another way to get out Illusion of Chaos if you want to, but the other reason I play it is because it's a spell you can use that can help you search out Illusion of Chaos, but then because you activated a spell, it helps you get out Dark Magician of Destruction a little easier. Granted, you're probably always going to be able to activate a spell. I think it's just a nice extender. I also play the traditional Primite package, so 3 Lordly Load, 1 Roar, and 1 Drill Beam. The last thing I play is 3 copies of Super Poly. Because so many of your Dark Magician monsters have generic material other than Dark Magician, like a Spellcaster monster, or a Light or Dark monster, or a Dragon monster, or a Dragon monster, I like to have Super Poly in the deck because I can use my opponent's monsters to make my own Dark Magician fusion monsters. I also play some generics to help clear the board too, but both are options. Now on to the traps. For traps, there's only 5, and you can probably guess what they are. 1 copy of Eternal Soul, 1 copy of Magician Navigation. I feel like this card is used more so for its negate effect now than it is for anything else, but it's still good to play. And then also 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, because again, it's the best hand trap in the game. Now on to the extra deck. For the extra deck, I'm playing a lot of fusion monsters as well. Some that have generic material, like Mud Dragon of the Swamp, Wings of Resonant Life, Starving Venom, and Guardian Chimera. These are all really good cards that you just use Super Poly to wipe your opponent's board, which is really helpful in a lot of situations. For the Dark Magician monsters, I play 1 Dragon Knight, 1 Dark Magician of Destruction. So this is one of the new cards that you can also banish a level 6 or higher Dark Spellcaster the turn you activate a spell to summon it, which is a really weird mechanic. Like, I get the idea of tributing to summon it, but it's like Thunder Dragon, where you need to activate a Thunder monster effect in the hand, except the difference is it's 10 times more generic because you just need to activate a spell. It can also search a Dark Magician card on summon, which is really nice. 1 copy of the Dark Magicians, 1 copy of Dragoon, and then 1 copy of Timaeus the United Magidragon. When this card is summoned, it's unaffected by the effects of any other card until the next turn after it's summoned. But what makes it really good is during your opponent's turn, it can just pop a spell or trap for free. Like, it's just a free pop. And then during the battle phase, it gains 100 attack for each spell in the grave or in the banishment. So it's a really strong card both for battle and for just generic defense. Then for the Link monsters, I play 1 World Chalice Dragon. This is just a way to get your Dark Magician in the graveyard. It's also a nice battle card because when you attack with it, you can destroy the opponent's defending monster. I also play 1 copy of IP, 1 copy of SP, 1 copy of Selene, 1 copy of Access Code, and 1 copy of Typhon. But overall, I'd say this is a pretty standard lineup, and I don't think you need more than 1 of each of the Dark Magician fusions, and then also the generic ones. Anyway, on to the side deck. If you guys have seen my deck profiles before, you know for the side deck, I don't usually like to tell you this exactly is what you should play, because people play their side decks differently. They might include small packages that they can sub into their deck, or they just might include staples of cards like Veiler or Chaos Hunter to deal with Malice. So while I'm not going to tell you exactly what to play, I will give you a couple of recommendations that I think are really strong for this deck. One of the cards you should definitely include is Secret Village of the Spellcasters. If you control this card, your opponent cannot use spells while you control Spellcaster. It's a really strong way to shut down their plays and can really stop their deck dead in its tracks. Another card I'd recommend playing is something like Chaos Hunter. It's just kind of a normal disruption that you summon it when your opponent does, and it prevents them from banishing cards, which can be pretty good in this format, with decks still rampaging like Malice. The last card is an interesting one I found people playing while I was researching this deck, and it's an interesting way to win in time. I would recommend playing at least 1 copy of Magic Formula in your side deck. You might be wondering why play this like Dual Monsters era card, but basically it gives your Dark Magician 700 additional attack, and if it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you gain 1,000 life points. So if you're in time and are able to summon Dark Magician and this card, you just link off Dark Magician to the World Chalice Dragon, gain 1,000 life points, and then win. Interesting tech for sure, but definitely one that can be utilized. Now on to the combos. So for the first combo, all you need is Primite Dragon, and what you're going to do is normal summon Primite Dragon, and then activate its effect to set one of the Primite cards. In this case, Lordly Load, which you'll then activate and use to search another one. Off of Load, you'll search Primite Roar, which you'll activate after using Primite Dragon's effect to tribute itself and send Dark Magician from deck to grave. Then you'll activate Roar, paying 2,000 life points, declaring Dark Magician and summoning it from deck. Since you activated a spell this turn, you can banish Dark Magician in order to summon Dark Magician of Destruction. When it's summoned, you can use its effect to search for another Dark Magician card. In this case, we'll search for Rod. Once you search Rod, you can use its effect to search for another Dark Magician card, the Gaze of Timaeus. Then, using these two as material, you can link them off into something like IP Masquerena, and then use the Gaze of Timaeus using your Fusion Dark Magician as material in order to summon either Dragoon, the Dark Magicians, or Timaeus the United Magidragon. It's your pick which one to summon here. Personally, I'm a Dragoon fan, so I'd probably go with that one. But if you're looking for something a little more quote-unquote Dark Magician-y, then I would probably recommend going for the Dark Magicians, because you can use its draw effect when your opponent activates a spell, and then use these two as material for SP Little Knight. Either way, you end on one giant boss monster and then an IP Masquerena, which you'll then use to go into SP Little Knight. It's a pretty easy combo, but it's something you can do with just one card. Now, let's try a test hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, not too bad. This is a pretty good starting hand, honestly. If you got this in a duel, I would be very happy. So, well, I wouldn't be happy, but you would be very happy. So we'll start with Primite Dragon, using it to search for Lordly Load, or set Lordly Load, then activate it. Lordly Load will search for Primite Roar. Then we'll use Dragon, sending it to the graveyard to send another copy of Dark Magician to the graveyard. Then I'm going to activate Primite Roar and use its effect to pay 2,000 life points and summon Dark Magician. Then we'll activate Magician Souls using its effect by sending Dark Magician Girl from deck to grave in order to summon itself. Then we'll banish Dark Magician and use it to summon the new Dark Magician of Destruction. Then we'll use Dark Magician of Destruction's effect to search for Soul Servant. Then, since we have a Dark Magician Girl and a Dark Magician in grave, we'll be able to get more off of Soul Servant. So we'll activate it, use its effect, and search Magician Salvation. Put it on top of the deck, then banish it and draw it too. So from that we just have an additional disruption, but we'll use Magician Salvation and use it to set our Eternal Soul. I'm actually going to shuffle this, because then what I do is I'd use Magician Souls, popping Lordly Load to draw one. Set Imperm. Then I would probably use the Gaze of Timaeus on our Dark Magician in the graveyard, shuffling that back to summon our last and final card, to summon Red Eye's Dark Dragoon. That's just my pick. Again, you could go for a different monster there, but that would be what I want. It's not a ton different from the other hand, but again, if you wanted, you could use these two as material for SP, and then have used that instead. But personally, I'm okay with this end board, because on the opponent's turn, I would activate Eternal Soul. Then I would use Eternal Soul, using its effect to search for Dark Magic Attack, since we don't have a Dark Magician in the graveyard. You have some big monsters on the field, and that's probably how I'd play out that hand. If you like Dark Magician and are interested in Red Eyes and Blue Eyes for the nostalgia factor, then make sure to check out my deck profile for each of those decks here as well. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.